Was around 14 when this incident happened. For context, I lived in an apartment complex that faced other apartments. The curtains that came with the apartments originally were as thin as paper, and at night, especially if there were lights on, could be seen through pretty easily. I lived here most of my childhood without a problem, but that is until Mr. Robertson moved into the neighborhood. He moved right across from me and beside my best friend Kayla, and from day one he was a neighbor from hell. The yards that came with each apartment were relatively small. But all our neighbors pretty much got along, so as long as we didn't cause any problems or destruction, nobody cared when we played in their yard or just walked through it. This was until Mr. Robertson arrived. He hated anyone stepping foot in his yard. I remember the day he moved in. I was not yet aware of it and was walking through his yard to meet Kayla. Before I could take 3 steps, he ran out of the apartment and was acting completely belligerent. He was marching over to me screaming, "Stay out of my yard," followed by his wife coming out trying to calm him down and letting him know I was just a kid. I'm not easily startled, but that scared the daylights out of me, and I was sure to always take the long way when walking to Kayla's. As crazy as it sounds, my actual story happened about a year later and has nothing to do with me. With that being said, I do really need advice when it comes to it. I'm afraid that my fear drove me to be silent and possibly let a criminal get away with a terrible crime. So it was late at night, around 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was up studying. I was at my desk, which faced the window. I was just about to call it a night when I noticed the light suddenly turn on across the street. Then I saw Mrs. Robertson run to the window. She only faced my direction for a few moments, but I could tell she looked distressed. I then saw Mr. Robertson run in and grab her away from the window and started dragging her to the other side of the room. I'm not the purest person in the world, but I will admit I was pretty sheltered, and seeing this man drag his wife across the room kept me in a trance until what I saw next. Mr. Robertson pulled out a huge object and hit her. She instantly covered her face, but he hit her again, then again, and then again. I was frozen in place and didn't know what to do. That's when he suddenly looked my way. The way I was positioned and the fact that I only had a desk light on made me feel sure that he couldn't see me, but all of a sudden he put up one of his hands and slowly waved at me. It wasn't just a quick wave that could have been coincidental. It was a long, drawn-out wave that I felt was him letting me know that he knows that I saw, which terrified me. The next day the house was completely abandoned. I found out later that Mr. Robertson let people know he was moving and would likely be gone sometime that week. Because of it, there were no types of suspicion, and everybody just assumed they moved. I have tried to tell myself that I made it up, that it was all just in my head, but deep down I know that I didn't. I never heard anything else about the Robertsons, but the guilt of knowing that I may have let the evil man get away with murder is something that weighs on me every day.
My story starts off with me heading into my second year of college. I had finally saved up enough money to rent an apartment so that I didn't have to live in a dorm. After months of searching, I finally found a decent place that was near my campus and closed the deal. On an early Saturday morning, I made my way to the apartment and started putting up all my things with the help of a few friends. This took all day, but by that night we were done. After my friends left, I made myself at home and laid on the couch, just taking in all that I had accomplished, when suddenly I heard a knock at the door. Now at this point it was around 10, and while I was planning on meeting my neighbours soon, this was not the time, so I simply ignored it and laid back on the couch, just waiting for the knocking to stop. But as soon as it did stop, I heard a key jingle and looked over to see my door being unlocked. I didn't get what was happening, so I just covered my face with the covers and closed my eyes as I pretended to be asleep. I left a small portion of the cover slightly lifted so I can see what was happening, and that is when I saw 3 guys in all black enter, one holding a gun. They noticed my feet sticking out from underneath the cover and stopped as soon as they saw me. That's when one guy pointed to my TV and then to my hallway. One man slowly went to my TV and picked it up, while the other man made his way through my hallways and was looking through my stuff. The one man who was left began to walk up to me. He was holding the gun, and when he got right in front of me, he bent down next to me and softly whispered, "If you call the cops before we're done, you're dead." I said nothing and just continued to play sleep. I heard him chuckle as he walked away. For about an hour they walked around my house, going through things and pretty much ransacking it before finally leaving. Even after they had left, I laid there in tears for about 20 minutes before doing anything. I don't want to keep you all here for nothing, so I'll just let you guys know that the men were never caught. I did move away shortly after and managed to get a roommate, which is good, but the trauma of that night never left me. I want to add that I am a 6'1" male who has worked in security jobs all my life. I'm not saying this to boast, but rather to let you guys know the power of fear. I've always thought of myself as pretty brave, even felt like I would put myself in harm's way for others. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't now, but I do feel we underestimate the power of fear. We are quick to say what we would have done in a certain situation, but honestly, until you're the one with a gun to your head wondering if it's your last day on Earth, you don't know what you would do.